Alrighty, it's on. So let's start with the breathing exercise. Okay, so I shared the little picture showing the diaphragm last week, and it was pretty surprising that it was actually a little higher than we thought that it would be, right? It's not, it's somewhere in your abdomen, it's somewhere in your chest, and it's attached to the end of the rib cage, right? So it's a pretty big muscle, but also in the frontal side, it comes pretty high. So it is really important that how you take a breath and how you maintain it while you're singing. Because if you collapse as you sing, that means your lungs becomes smaller and smaller, and that makes your diaphragm comes up automatically, right? We don't really have a say in how the diaphragm should, work. We don't control how high, how low it goes. It's only indirectly controlled by the size of the lung, right? So it is important to begin with good breath so that the lungs are actually pushing down the diaphragm. Yeah. And we can also maintain it by having our chest wide and high so that the lungs stay bigger through the duration of singing. So this whole process has to be happening every single time you take a breath. Okay, so let's have a breathing exercise to begin with, which is you take a good breath and then you're gonna exhale while we're exhaling. Make sure that you are not collapsing or become slouchy with your upper body. Ready? Breathe in. Let go. Try to use both the nose and the mouth at the same time. Yours is a little bit like, expanding your throat, like, right, gagging. But your throat should be neutral, right? And you have to induce the intake of the breath both through the nose and the mouth at the same time. Okay? Let's do one more time. Slightly higher chest, right? Like almost like busting through the door. Like a gladiator. All right, ready? Breathe in. Let go. Want you to feel your heels more than the toes. When you are really intensively participating in singing, you tend to feel more toes than your heels, leaning back. That way, do you feel that there's more room in your frontal side of your body? Let's do one more time. Open up your nose and the mouth. Ready? Breathe in. And excellent. Very good. And also remember the resonance that we found, right? Let's do lip trill to begin with. Let's do. Ready? Good job. Sounds good. Make sure that you're not attacking it so that it collapses all at the very beginning. Okay? Good. So let's start with oi 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 oi. Oi 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 oi. Oi 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 oi. Good. Sounds pretty good. Make sure that your rib cage, your side, does not reduce the size as you go. I mean, naturally we will collapse as we exhale, right? The only thing in singing is that we want to delay the process of collapsing. We need to admit that it's gonna collapse, okay? We just want to put up a good fight, struggle a little, so that we can maintain, possibly the inhalation position, but in reality, it's gonna go down. But we want to resist of the natural course of the collapse. Does it make sense? But I think you are very giving, like you are easily giving in, you know, because the pattern is already coming down the descending scale. So make sure that you stay wide and high here, even though it may seem easy because it's descending. Okay, let's do one more time to sound good. Nice. That was very nice. Yeah, I know it's a lot more than you probably thought that it would be, but that's how you want to support your voice. It's either you have a labor with your body, or you, you put all the damage and pressure on your throat. And vocal cords are really, really small and very thin muscle, possibly maybe the smallest body part exist. So you really have to be careful, you know. Um, um, it's relaxing, in a way. We if we think about singing, it's very relaxing. It should be effortless, comfortable. It is. When you support appropriately, then it's going to be a lot easier to sing out, and the sound comes out a lot more. But if you stop kind of supporting and drop altogether, all that pressure goes right into your voice, and that makes your voice strained. It's not free anymore. So rather than enjoyable, it is really hard to produce high notes or sing in a larger venue to project your voice to the audience. Those kinds of things becomes challenging, or even match your voice to the pitch. That becomes challenging. It's all because the price that we pay for the sake of not supporting it. Okay, so enough of that. Let's do one more time the same thing. But yeah. Good You sound beautiful today. Was it hard?
A little bit.
Yeah, harder on your body, but it's a lot easier on your voice, isn't it?
A lot easier on my voice.
Yeah, less tiring.
Mhm.
And you sounded pretty seamless throughout registers. I didn't hear any breaks. Did you feel any?
No,
Not really,
not
right?
really.
It's you weren't even thinking about it, right? Because you were busy with your support system.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call it appoggio.
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 You need this, the
Appo-
Italians.
appoggio.
Yeah, you got it right there. It just makes you sound like Italian, right? Okay, so that's what you need. Unfortunately, you sang with many others in the choir, so it's like if I don't support, somebody else will. So you kind of chill out and drop the support altogether. And then at the end of 2 hour rehearsal, you feel pretty hoarse. You don't want to do anything else because it's so tiring.
Mhm.
That's the last thing that you really want to do. Yeah. So I know it's really a lot to think about that, and you have to, pay attention. You have to involve yourself. You might come across like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of concentration for that hour, but it's totally worth it if you think about how much better you will feel afterwards.
Mhm.
Okay, I just could not help but noticing that when you do solo stuff, you're there, you're involved, you are giving your whole, right? But then in the opera rehearsal, you're like, and it shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Very good. Let's do something other. That's really nice sound. Is there a way that you can expand your lungs to its fullest capacity, regardless of how much you need or whatever? That's not something to do with breathing and singing. Breathing and singing is for the supporting purpose, not for needing that much of oxygen or singing. It's never about to exhaust all the oxygen in your system, right? It's there so that the expansion of the lungs push down the diaphragm, and that's the whole purpose of using that much of air. Okay, so I want you to see your chest goes like boom, Okay. Wow. Can you do that every time? Why are you laughing? Why? Because it's so much better, right?
Yeah.
So you agree with that? So you like the sound better?
I like it better.
I like it a lot better. And I think you should do it every time. That it's like wow, right? It feels good, it's satisfying. You feel like you accomplished something rather than like being slave because of like how hopeless and helpless you are because of all the pressure that you feel on your throat. It's freer. It really empowers you. That's what we want. Okay, that was excellent. Do one more time. So that's how much how much air that you want to take. Do it again. Excellent. Very good. Get rid of that harsh attack for each one. Forgive me. Iyo, iyo. But that attack kind of lets it down, and we don't want that, right? So try not to attack. but just start singing without pushing it down or like kind of pounding it for every single entrance. Okay, here we go. Do you hear that like a glottal sound? Eo, eo. Uh-huh. So is there a way that we get rid of that and still make it separate? See what I'm saying? Let's try one more time. Good job. It's a lot to process, isn't it? So you have to stay big. You cannot pump it every entrance, right? So is there a way that you are absolutely maintaining that beautiful posture without compromising because the phrase stops? See how this is really funny exercise that shows how you approach phrase. You probably do that every single phrases. That's why you cannot maintain that good lower diaphragm. Okay, so try one more time here. You're doing great. That was excellent. Can you think of how you fixed the problem? So you maintained high and big, right, wide, regardless of stopping the phrase or how high, how low, right? That was the principle. It's pretty simple, but we're not doing that every time. Yeah, do one more time. You sound good. Excellent. Wow, that was amazing. Did you feel the difference? Was it easier on you? But did you hear more sound coming out from you? A lot more, right? And it was easier to produce more. So we can call it efficient. Yeah? Good. Very good.